Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen and today I'm going to be talking to you about Hoya. So I thought we would go through some care tips and then finish with showing you my collection of Hoya and how they're getting on. So let's get into the video. So I thought we'd start by going through a few care tips and then I can show you my collection at the end. So the first thing I want to talk about is light. So light with plants, as we know, is really important to keep them alive and to keep them thriving. However, with Hoya, I tend to find that they need a lot more light than a lot of other plants. It depends really what you want to get out of your Hoya. So if you want to get some nice blooms, if you want quick growth, and in some Hoya's situation, you can get some really nice sun stressing as well with some highlight situations. So a lot of my Hoya, I keep up here on this top shelf. Now I've currently got it turned off, but I will quickly just turn it on for you to show you. But normally throughout the day, I have my grow light on, which is just in here, which if you've seen my videos before, you do know about my grow light and the fact that I have that on here. And my whole top shelf is full of Hoya basically. And the same, I've got another Hoya here on the second shelf as well, mainly because of space on the top shelf really. The two plants that I popped up the top here that are also Hoyas, they actually do normally live in my window. So they don't normally live on the shelf. They live in the highlight situation of my morning light window, so it gets light in the morning. But yeah, so I've just moved them over here for the purposes of you being able to see them all in one go. But yeah, so most of my other Hoyas live along this top shelf here. One of the only plants that I can actually put on this shelf without getting some major bleaching or anything like that, or any issues or sort of killing it. So yeah, they really do like it. I do have to water them a lot more because of that, but you can get some really nice sun stressing as well. Some of it I was going to show you on this one, but actually some of the sun stressing is gone on this now. But I will show you on this guy here. So this guy lives in my window, and this is the kind of sun stressing that I do sometimes get from the plants on here. But I think the reason why the sun stressing is starting to fade on here is because I haven't been keeping up with turning my grow light on every day. I really do need to put a timer on it really and just let it do its thing. But yeah, so this is the sort of sun stress look, if you can see on this leaf here, that you can get from highlight situation. So that's really fantastic, and there's some more sun stressing starting on here as well. So yeah, it'd be quite cool to actually get some proper sun stressing coming through. I mean, I think that is probably the best bit. But if you like that and you like to sun stress some of your Hoyas, it is possible, but not all Hoyas like sun stressing. So you've just got to make sure, the best thing to do really with care of these plants is to just get to know them first. See what sort of environments they thrive in, and then you'll learn what ones enjoy the higher light situations and what ones are happier just sort of in like a bit of a moderate light really. But most Hoya, especially the thick leaved ones like the Crinkle 8 there, and the Hoya compacta here as well, they're really thick leaved and they really enjoy the really high light situations. But yeah, I find that especially these thick leaved Hoyas are actually really easy to care for. All you have to do is learn a few basic tips, and they really are quite easy. So the second thing I want to talk to you about today is temperature and humidity. So a lot of these plants do thrive a lot more off of high humidity. I personally don't monitor the humidity of my house. It's not something that I've ever really done, and my Hoya are doing absolutely fine. But I do know that they do like quite high humidity situations. If you have a humidifier, you can certainly use them around your Hoyas. They will definitely thrive off of that. But yeah, like I said, it's certainly not necessary for you to really monitor that, as long as they're not by a drafty window that's always open or sort of sat over a hot radiator. You should kind of be okay with these really. Like I said, especially with those thicker leaved Hoyas. So if you don't have any Hoya yet and you're wanting to sort of venture into the world of Hoya, I would certainly suggest the thicker leaved Hoya are definitely a great starting position. It's certainly where I started. And actually a lot of my Hoya are still very thick leaves. A lot of them are. It's very rare to get really thin, delicate leaves on a Hoya. I think probably this one here is one of my most delicate at the moment, and that's quite new to me, but I am getting some really nice growth off it, so Hopefully that's a good sign. And this one actually at the moment isn't living in the window. It's actually living off to the side of this grow light here, up there. When I go around and talk about, like, sort of introduce you to each plant in my collection, I will put them back in their positions so you can see where they're living. And I can talk to you a bit more about them separately. But yeah, so in terms of humidity and things, it's totally up to you as to whether you want to look at humidifiers and stuff, or whether you just want to get to know your plants first and then see if your environment needs a bit of a humid boost. But you might find that you're fine. Third thing I want to talk to you about today is watering. So like I said, when Hoya are sat in a much brighter situation, they really do need a lot of water. So I probably water, let's look for instance at my compactor at the front here. I probably water this once a week, whereas like in the height of summer, probably twice a week. But at the moment, we're sort of in the autumn time at the moment over here in the UK. I would water this once a week. And as that goes through winter period, I'll sort of see how it goes. But because it's under a grow light, I'm kind of guessing it's going to stay similar. It shouldn't differ too much from its water pattern, really, as well as its growth pattern. I used to really struggle with this plant as to when to water it, what sort of environment it needed. And ever since it's been under this grow light, it's been a hell of a lot easier for me to understand its needs. I think that's because it's also in terracotta. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 of my Hoya in terracotta pots. I do think they prefer it. I think their soil really does like to dry out in between watering. And yeah, I just think it really saves on you rotting anything or any root rot or anything like that. And because you are watering them a little bit more than maybe some other plants, I'm not saying keep the soil moist. I'm saying that they will need more water if they're in a high situation. So by that, I mean, I let these dry out, sorry. So if I put my finger in, the soil, at least down to sort of my knuckle there, would be dry. And you might find a little bit of moisture towards the base there, but I mostly let them completely dry out and then I will water them. The one thing I will say with Hoya is the easiest way to water them and stop them from getting any sort of water damage or being overwatered is to bottom water them. So because they live in a higher light situation, it is a lot harder to tell when they do need watering, and trying to keep onto some sort of watering pattern. So I would always bottom water, hence why a lot of mine are sat in saucers here. I just fill up the saucer, leave it for sort of 10-15 minutes. If there's still water in the bottom, then I would pop it out and leave it for a little while and sort of feel around in the soil. If it's soaked up all the water really quickly, then I will just pop a little bit more in there and then just keep doing that until I think it's had enough. Another thing to do with sort of light situation, I guess, just quickly going back to that, is it's really important to keep your leaves clean on Hoyas as well. They can, especially with like the compactors where they're really sort of crinkled up like this, or even the big thick ones like this, they gather dust and they are really prone to getting bugs and different issues. I have had mealy bugs on probably 4 of my Hoya now, and I've only, in my whole entire plant collection, I think I've only had about 6 or 7 plants with mealy bugs, and at least 4 of those have been 4 of my Hoya. So yeah, they are really prone to that, but they are quite easy to get rid of. I do have a video on mealybug care and how to look after that, and that was actually focused on my crinkle 8, which is down to the side of me here. So do go and check that out if you want to know sort of a bit more care about that. My compactor here has recently gone through some treatment with mealybugs, and yeah, pests really can be an issue when it comes to your plants and your Hoya, so do make sure that you're really paying attention to those, checking on the leaves regularly and just giving the leaves a nice clean. It will also help if they get really bad dust build-up. Once you clean them, it soaks up a lot more sunlight. So yeah, definitely something I would recommend. With your variegated Hoyas, so things like this guy here, which is my Crimson Queen, if you want the really nice variegation, then you do need to keep it in a higher light situation. The darker situation you keep it in, the more it's going to start to decline, especially in variegation as well as in health, really. So yeah, do keep an eye on that. With the watering, there is also a telltale sign with most Hoya. I'm saying most Hoya because things like your Linearis are not gonna work that way because they're a different leaf. But with most of your other Hoyas, especially if they're a thick-leaved Hoya, they start to wrinkle. I don't know if I actually have any to show you, but you will, I think maybe this guy again. Clearly the one that's not doing too well. So for starters, the leaves, see these leaves here are quite stiff, but you have got some here that are quite flimsy. And I don't know if you can see, but they're quite like wrinkly on the back there. Sorry, they don't look the best at the moment because it's been through a lot of treatment recently. But as you can see where the back there is all wrinkly, that's because it doesn't have enough water in it. So that's definitely something that is a telltale sign and actually really great, because as soon as you see that sign, you can just water your Hoya. So that is a really good thing to look out for. If you're not sure whether to water it or not, it's always check the leaves for their firmness. If they're softer than normal, then yeah, go ahead and water it. Or if they're starting to get wrinkly like that, then once again, perfect time to water it. The last thing I need to talk about with the care tips today is probably the soil. So I choose to use a very well draining soil. I certainly mix a lot of perlite and things in there. Some of my Hoya are in sort of more barky mixes than others. I would sort of recommend somewhere in between. So if you just have a normal soil, then I would just pop a bit of perlite or something in there just to make sure that it assists with that draining, which is also why I use the terracotta. So that obviously helps with that as well. Right then, so that's it for my care tips. If you want to add anything, or if you have any of your own care tips that you think would be helpful to others, please do comment those down below. And now, yeah, I just thought I'd go around and show you my collection really. So the first Hoya that I'm going to show you today is my Hoya linearis. This one here. It's absolutely beautiful, and to touch, so soft. The leaves are just gorgeous. But it is a lot more delicate than the other ones. And like I said, I am still learning with this guy because he is quite new to my collection. I believe his care is a little bit more different based on the fact that you can't tell when it really needs watering based on like crinkly leaves or soft leaves, because they already are soft and they won't go wrinkly if they dry out. So yeah, I'm kind of learning a little bit, but as you can see, I've got a nice bit of new growth coming through at the top here and also at the bottom. But yeah, he's very soft. He lives over here, like I said, off to the side of my door. He does get a lot of light from the grow light still, and the same from through the window. So I'm hoping he's going to be okay over here. But if I do see any sort of decline in health or a slowdown in growth, then I will move him either closer to my grow light or closer to the window. Is probably the more likely option that I would take there. I guess the best thing to do is talk to you about the plants up on my shelf here. So this is where most of my Hoya are, as I said. I've got two others to show at the end, but we will start with this guy back here. So if I just pop him out here, this is my Hoya pubicalyx. Sorry, I always forget the name of this one. I don't know why. It's Hoya pubicalyx. They are absolutely lovely. I love it. It's a really fast grower. It's a really great one for sun stressing. I don't know if you can see on this guy here, but yeah, really great one for that. And they do grow quite well. Another thing to mention about Hoya as well, actually, is that they really do get these like stick-like talons, I guess, that will sort of grow out. And what happens is that will grow out. They'll either latch onto something or they'll just sort of get to a point where they'll stop growing, and then they'll start growing leaves out. So as you can see, this one's started to grow its leaves now, and it's got two new leaves starting to grow through here. I don't know how well you can see that there. And this guy will start to do the same soon. So yeah, this is what they do. Please do not cut them off. It's quite common that people think that this is like a leafless twig or something growing from their plant, but it is really important to not cut those off of Hoya. You'll see a lot of mine today that have them and they're waiting for the leaves to come out, but yeah, it is just what Hoya do and how they grow. And the leaves grow through really tiny like this, and then they will get bigger as they grow. So they do get bigger, and they will turn into this sort of size here. But yeah, so that is my Hoya pubicalyx there. Yes, yeah, Hoya pubicalyx. All right. So let's just pop that guy back in there and put his talon back somewhere. The next one on my list is my Hoya compacta. Now this is one of my absolute favourite Hoyas. I really do love it. Can be quite difficult to care for. Like I said, they had this for a very long time before I got it to grow, and now I've kind of perfected it. This whole entire stem here with the new growth coming through is completely new. That was not there when I had it. I've also had a section on both of these grow out, and I've had a lot of new growth in terms of this section here. And just along the stem here as well, really, they started to get quite sparse, and they have then had a mass growth spurt and had a lot more new leaves and things growing out, which is great. They look really good when they're really compact and large like this. But like I said, it has recently, just noticed something there, just checking out. Yeah, it has recently had mealybugs, so I have put it through some treatment recently. So I think it has just slowed down a tiny bit there. But I think I've managed to get rid of the issue. I haven't seen any in a little while now, and it's been sort of a week or two. So yeah, I'm hoping that I've managed to sort the situation. But that is my Hoya compactor. Right, moving along, I've then got my Hoya Crimson Queen here. Now this one has some beautiful variegation on it. So the difference, there's the Hoya Crimson Queen here, and then you've got the Hoya Princess here. This one here. So the difference between the two, as you can see, is the Hoya Crimson Queen, which is here, is the one with the variegation on the outside of the leaves and the green in the middle. The Princess, which is this one here, Crimson Princess, has got the variegation on the inside. So that is the difference between the two crimsons. So Crimson Queen has the variegation on the outside, Princess has the variegation on the inside. I will come back to the Princess in a minute. They are quite similar, but I do think I prefer the Queen. I like the kind of variegation that you can get on it. I don't know if you can see this, if I can get a nice angle, if you can see this here. I really enjoy the colouring on the variegation here. This has got a really nice pale pink coming through. The sort of variegation on the leaves here as well is gorgeous. That is a completely pink one, and it's actually surviving really well. I don't quite know how, but yeah, very nice. And the same on these here. I've got some really nice white cream. It's more of a creamy, it's not very white. It's like a creamy pink, very pale pink sort of colour. Coming through on these, and they're the newer leaves that are coming through that are nice and variegated, which is a really good sign. And as you can see, these are sort of growing along the talon here. I'm hoping I'm going to get a couple more come out here at some point, but we'll see. But yeah, he's doing very well. This guy's actually growing really quickly. I'm really happy with how it's growing and how it's looking. The leaves are starting to get a little bit dusty there, so we'll need to have a bit of a leaf clean. But other than that, yeah, that is the Crimson Queen. I then have the Hoya Retusa over here. So this is quite similar to Linearis that I showed you a minute ago. But this guy, I mean, let's face it, the Linearis is much prettier. But yeah, I mean, I do like the Retusa. I think it's quite cool. I think it's a bit different. It is a little bit of a lighter green than you would normally find with these guys. I do think it was getting a little bit bleached under the light because it was sat kind of directly under there. So I have just moved it off to the side in hopes that it will get its nice plush green back. But yeah, it's got quite a few talons coming off here and some nice new growth coming through. This guy blooms quite a lot for me. It's actually got a little bloom there, which is amazing. With the right light and the right watering regime, you will get some nice blooms on these guys. They are great and they look really cute. But yeah, so he does bloom for me quite a few times, and I do try and pop posters up on Instagram, pictures up, sorry, on Instagram and things like that when it does. So hopefully I'm going to get some really nice blooms next year, but I think we're sort of heading in the direction of winter now and I probably won't get any blooms for them yet. Right, the last one, obviously, that I said I would come back to over here is my Princess. So this guy isn't doing overly well. It's growing nicely and it's got some nice new growth come through. However, some of the older leaves are looking a bit sad and damaged just because it went through some treatment for mealybugs. So yeah, however, I mean, if you just look at certain points of this plant, so that is just completely gorgeous variegation. A lot of those actually are completely new leaves. It has that really nice pinky sort of pale pink look as well, and I don't know if you can see, but there is a new leaf coming out just there as well, so there'll be another one joining that. I like how full these ones grow. It doesn't tend to grow as much of like long talons as some of the other ones do, but I don't know, we will see. They're sort of starting to have one grow there, but yeah, I tend to find it grows a little bit more sort of stubby and full, which I like, so I'm happy for that to continue the way it is really. But yeah, very beautiful, really happy with that there. I actually hadn't noticed how much was in that section, so I might actually turn it around for a little bit because that looks really pretty. So just coming over to the window here, I've got this beautiful Hoya YTI. I bought this from my local garden centre a little while ago. You probably have seen my video. If you haven't, please do go check it out. It is a come shop with me basically at Whitehall Garden Centre near me in Wiltshire, which was really good fun. I really like this guy. I think he's really funky. I like the sort of runner bean effect that it gives, and yeah, just the way it hangs, the fact that it just looks different. I really enjoy seeing different types of plants. This guy does get almost like little aerial roots that grow off of it, which are a little bit like spindly, but thankfully they stay quite short and I haven't really noticed them sort of building up or anything. So, but yeah, they do sort of get those coming through. I don't know if you can see what I mean, but yeah, these little like crazy runaway hairs. But yeah, very beautiful. I really enjoyed the sort of dark green on this as well and that kind of effect. We'll see how it gets on here in the window. Once again, I haven't had this for very long, so I am still learning the care tips for this one. But I'm hoping that because this is thicker, lusher leaves, it's going to be very similar to the other Hoya that I've taken care of before. Right, let's bring you down here to the last one. So this guy down here really enjoys living in the window here actually. He seems to sort of thrive. Once again, the leaves are a little bit yellowy. I'm hoping they're going to calm down a little bit now that we're getting a bit more into winter. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a bit gloomy outside today. Not looking overly great. But yeah, it's got some really nice growth coming through, like that bit at the top there. Like I showed you before, some really nice sun stressing as well on the leaves here. And I think that's just from the position that it's been in here in the window. Some of the leaves on this thing are really big and beautiful. There's some nice new big leaf there coming through. Yeah, that is the Hoya Crinkle 8. The reason why it's called a Hoya Crinkle 8 is because it has 8 crinkles in its leaves, which you can see there. Right then guys, that's it for my video today. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Hoya and sort of listening to the tips and tricks of how I care for my Hoya. As you can tell, I am certainly starting to build a nice collection here, and there are quite a few more Hoya that I would like to get my hands on. I might look at putting out a sort of Hoya wish list video soon. If that's something you would like to see, let me know in the description down below and I will make that happen. In the meantime, if you have any more tips or anything for anyone or any ideas of how you look for after your Hoya that might be different to the way that I do, please do leave them in the comments down below. I really do enjoy reading them and sort of learning more from you guys as well. But yeah, I guess that's it then. Thank you very much and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.